Geometry Dash demons are levels primarily known for their difficulty and incredibly precise gameplay. However, there are some levels that can be just as hard or even harder than a typical demon level, without relying on insane timings, ship control sections, or standard difficult mechanics. These levels can be extremely challenging for one simple reason: their length. From demons that reach the 10-minute mark to others that push close to an hour of gameplay. These levels test your mental endurance and physical stamina like no others. And today, I'm going to attempt to beat some of the longest demons ever created in Geometry Dash to find out just how difficult they can truly be. Let's see how this goes. In the easy demon category, we can find a level that is well known for being the longest easy demon in the game, the Long Walk Home. This level, created by Ren241, is interesting because it is essentially your average daily level but extended to over 11 minutes. The good thing is that the gameplay is very well designed. Most of the parts are extremely easy to read, and the level even helps you with jump indicators. It's one of those rare demons that can realistically be beaten in a single attempt. The song is also amazing. It feels very psychedelic and relaxing. Unfortunately, on my very first attempt, I failed in a really stupid way at 14%, which cost me my only chance to beat a demon level in one attempt. After that, I managed to beat it in just 3 attempts, which is probably the lowest attempt count I ever had on a demon. But this wasn't the end. About a week after beating that level, I discovered that there was an even longer easy demon, also created by the same creator. The level is called Holding On, and it surpasses the Long Walk Home by about a minute, reaching a total length of 12 minutes. I initially thought it would be just as easy, so I tried to beat it without practicing. Unfortunately, that turned out to be a mistake. The gameplay is much more uncomfortable and not nearly as easy to sight read. For example, there is a robot section around 50% of the level where flashing shadows can make it difficult to even see what's going on. Another issue I had with this level was the excessive use of visual effects, which sometimes can interfere with visibility. For some reason, I also had a lot of really frustrating deaths after 8 minutes of gameplay. Because of this, the level ended up taking me almost 2 hours to complete, even though it only took 33 attempts. That's really bad considering I've beaten some extreme demons in about the same amount of playtime. In the medium demon category, we have an interesting level with 14 minutes of gameplay, Charmed Life. This level is extremely simple in terms of gameplay, and it only uses cube, chip, and robot sections. This simplicity is compensated by the level's charming decoration and its music, which perfectly fits the theme and feels very nostalgic. Despite that, the level has several flaws, mainly related to its gameplay. For example, the cube and the robot sections, which are the longest parts of the level, consist almost entirely of simple jumps. These jumps are very easy to execute, but they can become very repetitive and annoying after doing the same things hundreds of times. Additionally, the obstacles sometimes change their decoration completely, making it harder to clearly see where you need to jump. However, the worst parts are the ship section and the final 70% of the level, because it is the only part that requires memorization. Even though the memorization itself is not difficult, by the time you reach this section in a real attempt, you will most likely have already forgotten everything. This alone caused me to fail twice, despite having practiced it before. But the hardest part of the level, it's definitely the final cube at 70%. It consists of a long sequence of jumps that rapidly transition between different themes. These transitions are so fast that you either need to memorize every single jump or be extremely good at sight reading to survive. Even though I fell earlier at 64%, I somehow managed to flirt this part. I was incredibly nervous, doing continuous jumps for nearly 4 minutes straight, while my FPS was constantly dropping. It was definitely an experience. In the hard demon levels, there is one level that for a long time was one of the most famous long levels ever, Larga Espera. This level was created by Nacho21 during the 2.0 era of Geometry Dash. The theme of the level is fascinating, and it tells the history of how the game evolved from its earliest updates to the long-awaited 2.1. Back then, the community thought that waiting 1 year was a long time. Oh, little did they know. Another thing that makes this level extremely interesting is how the creator managed to push it to the 15-minute mark. Unlike today, where anyone can create very long levels using the editor extensions hack from the Mega Hack, players during 2.0 didn't have access to such tools. Because of this, Nacho had to discover and exploit a bug that allowed him to extend the level's length one spike at a time. Another interesting fact is that it took 6 years for this level to finally get rated, and when it did, it was initially considered an extreme demon. Not long after, it was downgraded to insane demon and eventually to hard demon, where it stands today. In terms of gameplay, this level is excellent. It uses almost every game mode and mechanic that existed at the time, through its 15-minute duration. Most jumps and obstacles are very readable and easy to react to. The only issue I found is that the level isn't as sight-readable as it first appears. There are a few blind jumps and sections that require memorization. Fortunately, most of these are located in the first half of the level. After that, the level becomes much more consistent. Because of this, I was actually able to flirt from 45%, even though I had reached that percentage years ago. Out of all the levels featured in this video, this is probably the best option if you are looking for something that is both challenging and really fun to play. For some reason, one of the hardest parts about beating the longest insane demon in Geometry Dash was not actually beating the level. It was figuring out which level was truly the longest. Most sources pointed to Light Trouble as the longest insane demon, but they were outdated. After doing some research, I found what I believe to be the longest one. Comatose, a 9-minute long insane demon. I spent 2 days playing that level and eventually beat it, only to realize almost 2 weeks later that it wasn't actually the longest insane demon. Yeah, I basically wasted 2 days of my life beating a level I shouldn't have gone for in the first place. While editing this video, I finally discovered the real longest insane demon in Geometry Dash. Always Forever, a 13-minute long level. This level is especially unique because it's a massive mega collab with over 100 creators, and it was built entirely using 1.0 features. Despite having interesting gameplay ideas and structures, Always Forever was a nightmare to beat. The main reason is that the level is essentially a 13-minute long memory demon. It features multiple paths you can take, along with a huge number of fake and blind jumps. Another major issue is the decoration. Don't get me wrong, the visuals are incredibly impressive for a 1.0 level, but they are also extremely laggy and distracting at times. You can barely see what's going on, and it becomes very easy to forget what you are supposed to do. I also didn't enjoy the sound very much. While it fits the theme of the level, it felt repetitive and boring to me. It loops over and over again to the point where I ended up playing while listening to something else. When I started playing from zero, I made progress quickly. However, I eventually got stuck in the second half of the level, simply because I couldn't remember what to do. This level doesn't have a single difficult input. Its entire difficulty comes from nerve control and extreme memory retention. I spent 3 days on this level, and most of that time was dedicated to memorizing it properly. Even after doing multiple runs from 26% to 100%, I still couldn't consistently remember the final section. Because of this, I ended up failing near the end countless of times. I genuinely hated this level. To be honest, it even felt harder than Cataclysm. But after 3 long days of practice and around 1,400 attempts, I finally managed to beat the longest insane demon in Geometry Dash. For the final level in this video, we have one of the most interesting levels in Geometry Dash, Eon. Eon is a level that surpasses every other level in this video in both difficulty and length. At 55 minutes long, it is an extreme demon that pushes your nerve control and mental endurance to their absolute limits. And don't let the simple looking gameplay fool you. This level is harder than Bloodbath, and probably closer to Sonic Wave difficulty. Eon can be divided into two main sections, the first 90% and the final 10%. The first 90% consists mostly of easy 5 to 8 star gameplay, which is fortunately very sight readable. There are a few short sections that are slightly harder or require some practice, but overall, this portion of the level is manageable and can be learned in just a few hours. However, the real problem lies in the 90% to 100% section. Even though it's only 10% of the level, this final part lasts for around 5 minutes and contains extreme demon level gameplay. Most of it requires high clicks per second and very awkward timings. One of the few good things about this part is that some sections of the gameplay can be skipped, allowing for slightly easier strategies. But this also creates another problem. If you choose a different route, you risk forgetting what to do when you actually reach this part from zero. This final part is so difficult that by itself, it is harder than all of the other levels in this video. I knew that I wouldn't be able to beat this level without mastering that section completely, so I decided to practice as much as possible. Eventually, I reached a point where I could pass this part 4 times in a row. After that, I started doing runs from zero. Even though I was consistently getting far into the level, I struggled with certain click patterns and most importantly, with my nerves. Despite knowing every part of the level, I kept failing due to small mistakes, like forgetting where to click, clicking when I shouldn't, or simply zoning out after 30 minutes of gameplay. This level turned out to be much harder than I expected. Since I didn't want to drag the process out for too long, I decided to grind Eon as much as possible, playing around 5 to 8 hours every single day. This helped me make significant progress, but it was also incredibly exhausting. Even after failing 4 times past 90%, including some fails at 94% and 95%, I kept going. And finally, after almost a week of practice and over 30 hours of playtime, I completed every longest demon in Geometry Dash.